Hello, everybody. It's Matt the Rug here, and I bought NASCAR 21 Ignition, so you don't have to. Let's get into it. There is so much to talk about. I've spent a good 6, 7, maybe 10 hours with the game. Is that enough to review it? No. Is that enough to know that this game is terrible and not worth buying? Yes. Yes, it is. Sadly, guys, all the fears have come to fruition. The first thing I'd like to apologize about is the fact that I said at the end of my last video that there would be a mirror. And that I said, you know what, I think it might be time. I think I've seen enough. Go ahead and if you want to, if you're a huge NASCAR fan, buy it. Because I was wrong. One, I was lied to about the mirror, but that's neither here nor there. I should have done a follow-up. But, I don't even. I mean, let's start there. It's been the vein of my channel for so long. How do you release a racing game without a mirror? It forces you to have to drive in chase view. And when I drive in chase view, I overturn the car and I spin out, which is a huge problem on the 750 horsepower tracks. It is obscene how much the car turns. I mean, it is like Phoenix, undrivable. Phoenix is undrivable. I mean, it is terrible. At least with my wheel, Phoenix is unfrickin' drivable. Richmond, very much the same. Just god-awful. That's the biggest thing for me is, like, people have said that the gameplay's good, and at moments it is, but it's so inconsistent. Some tracks are fine. Some tracks are just fine to drive on. Coda actually was really, really fun. I didn't think the Roval was too bad. I wasn't very fast there, but I didn't think it was too bad. Coda was nice. Here's two road courses that were good. Some of the mile and a halves are fine. Charlotte's not. Charlotte's a mess. You come out of the corner at Charlotte, you're spinning. If you, at least with my wheel, my G923, if I turn more than like 3 degrees with my wheel to the left, the car is just going to keep spinning forever and ever. It's going to turn. It's probably still turning. I turned my Xbox off a while ago. I'm sure the car is still turning left into the wall. It's there's no reverse. We know this, right? If you're using a wheel. So I had to turn on the assist that helps you get back on track, which is obnoxious because I feel like sometimes it does it when I'm not wrecking or spinning. It'll take control of the car, but not as bad as, I guess, the low steering assist on controllers. So that's good. Yeah. I mean, that's just like, I'm right now starting with just like the basic, the way the car drives. And, it's really interesting. I feel like it's way too easy to lock up the brakes. Like, I understand driving a NASCAR is not an easy thing to do. I get it. But it is crazy. The Daytona road course is insane. Go ahead and try to drive that. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's inconsistent. Like, even within the thing that it does pretty well, whereas the Daytona road course, it doesn't. It's terrible. That track is god-awful. I haven't raced, like, Sonoma or Walk into the Glen yet. I should try that because those are tracks that I know pretty well. So maybe I should get on and do that a little bit later if I can stomach it. But it's crazy to me how inconsistent it is. And I'm telling you, Phoenix and Richmond are just, you can skip them. Just simulate them. It's not worth it. Martinsville and Bristol, I've found, and even Richmond, I think, I found interesting. It reminds me of NASCAR 09. You can just completely rim ride. And since damage is cosmetic online and there's no penalties and you can drive backwards, which we'll get into online in a second, I would imagine if you do short track racing, just rim ride would be the way to go. Just literally ride the wall. That's it's crazy that that's back. That is something that can be done again after all this time. It's made a resurgence. It's nuts to me, but whatever. So, yeah, Martinsville especially, that was the only way I could get around the racetrack because they're too wide the whole time at Martinsville, which is a big problem that we'll get into with the AI. And career mode, why career mode sucks. And it's a lot of it's based on the AI, and then it's hard to have anything be good when it's terrible. But yeah, the online. We'll go to online first. So online just starts you in the worst way possible. So you're sitting there, and then it teleports. You sit there with no countdown, no nothing, and then it teleports your car to pit road, and you think, oh, I should drive the car. So you hit the gas, and you start to turn the car, and it then teleports you onto the track with full control. You have full control. So if you're turning the car trying to get off pit road, you're going to turn right up the track into somebody. So don't do that. Instead, just hit the gas and hold your wheel straight or your thumbstick completely straight and then start shifting. And then maybe you can restart if the guy in front of you doesn't wreck you or the guy inside or outside of you doesn't wreck you. Maybe you can actually drive the car then. And get off, but the guy in front's probably not going to hit the gas or something, or, the same problems you get in NASCAR Heat, but this time you don't even have a countdown, so it's much worse, and people don't know that they have control of the car right as soon as it teleports you, so, and it has that little second on pit road, so the first time you get teleported, you think, okay, now I have control, and so, oh, cool, I'm going to drive, and then it's just really poorly thought out, the start of it. You can drive backwards. I don't know if I've mentioned that. I might have mentioned it. I could mention it again. You can drive backwards online. Your car doesn't go invisible or anything. No, you might get penalized. I don't know. All I know is I was at Talladega and a guy drove into me backwards at full speed. I was leading using the chase cam, which I hate, but I was able to actually block and make lane changes and everything at Talladega using the chase cam. And I thought, hey, man, maybe there's some potential in this online. And then a guy came backwards and hit me. I've seen the people do the slow driving on the track, trolling, coming up thing. Restarts are a complete mess. They're all 2% races. 2%. Not even 5%. These are 2% races. You get like 5 laps, maybe 3 laps at a bigger track. If you went to a road course, probably 1 lap. So you just get thrown into a race 2%, and that's it. Have fun, and then you go back and you match make for longer than you're in the race to get in, and then have the restart be completely screwed up. Not because people don't know how to drive, but because the UI gives you no information about what's happening, and nobody has any clue what's going on. It might get better as people learn, but there'll always be mistakes, and if you're not on it, it's not going to go well. Like in NASCAR Heat, yeah, if you're not at your wheel or you're, in the kitchen, your restart could go bad. But in this game, you really gotta be up and on the wheel when it starts, because it's just, you never know when it's gonna happen. You gotta be paying 100% attention to the screen and the game at the start of the race. It's just very odd. Very odd. Career mode. Now let's get into this. So my big thing is, I didn't even know why they give us the ability to qualify, especially on the tracks that have only 1 lap, which I don't know what decides whether or not it's a 1 or 2 lap qualify. They all need to be 2 laps though. I don't care. Or they need to give us the warm up lap to drive around. Because what happens now is it just kind of decides randomly to give you control. Sometimes at the line, sometimes before the line, sometimes a little bit after the line of the car. And it decides to do it, at a slow speed and then start you on a 1 lap qualify. So you have no way to qualify any higher than 40th, 38th maybe if you're lucky. Because it just gives you the car and it's like, hi, you're going 30 miles an hour slower than you need to be after your warm-up lap. And you only have 1 lap. Have fun. Oh, and by the way, yeah, you have control of the car now. But it doesn't even do that. It just goes, now. And then you're driving. And it's like, well, you have no idea. So you're in the wall, or you enter the corner at way too high or way too low of a speed, because it just, like I said, it just picks a speed and drops you off. Most of the tracks, it's too slow, but some tracks, the line is farther down, closer to the corner, and it gives you control, and you don't have enough time to get slowed up before you get to the corner. It's ridiculous. And then it gives you 1 lap around. And then you qualify 40th, and you think, okay, 40th, I'll pick them off one at a time. And, no, good luck doing that, because unless you're at Daytona and Talladega, it never spreads out. The funny thing is, at Daytona and Talladega, it spreads out, comes single file over time, and you can pick everybody off one at a time. But everywhere else, it's pack racing, 3, 4 wide. Darlington, Darlington, which is one of those one lap qualifying tracks. It was 12, 20 laps. I've got some gameplay of it. I don't know, 11, 12 laps into a run, I think. They're still too wide. The whole track, too wide across the track. You can't pass anybody. You can ride the wall. You have to take the high side, and then they'll drive into you. The AI are brain dead. They'll just run you over, drive into you, cut you off. They'll do whatever the hell they want. They'll pretend like they're the only thing on the racetrack because they have no idea where you are. It's really, really infuriating to be screwed in qualifying, have to start in the back, and then there be nowhere to drive. They do not give you enough racetrack to race. The AI, the game, doesn't give you enough racetrack to race. I don't know. The people who made this game don't watch NASCAR. I mean, it's All Sports made a video about it. He doesn't think that they're the biggest NASCAR fans. And I gotta agree with him. There's just no way. There is no way. Okay, this is not the way NASCAR is. It spreads out. They're not going into the corner too wide. 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 3 by 2 at Darlington. 11, 12, 13 laps into a run. They're not doing that 3 laps into a run. They might do it for the first corner, maybe the second corner, and then they're going to begin to single file out, and they'll go 2 by 2 every once in a while. Somebody will be passing, but not every lap, every car. It's crazy. I mean, it's insanity, and it's like that at almost all the mile and a halves. It was like that at Phoenix, which is terrible because you have no control over your freaking race car at Phoenix. The throttle control is ridiculous that you have to do. People complain about the throttle control at Dirt Bristol. Dude, I had so much more control over my car and ability to get around the racetrack at Dirt Bristol than I did at Phoenix. Phoenix is broken. I don't care what anybody says. It's terrible. So yeah, you start behind a mass of cars that never spread out. Nobody's watched NASCAR. They didn't give us a rearview mirror. There's no stage racing. The qualifying is completely broken. I can have the fastest time in practice. I'll have the fastest car during the race. I'll qualify 40th because it just gives me one lap. It starts me whenever the hell it wants to, haphazardly, at some random speed, and then throws you in. Which just makes career mode so aggravating to have to deal with it. Like, the game is so aggravating. It's frustrating. It is what it is. And playing the game is what it is. And that's why I said online could probably fix it, because a lot of the problems are like the AI, but the restarts are so bad. You can drive backwards. There's no ability to control who's in the lobby with you. There's no cautions. The races are 2%. It's like, what is going on? What happened? Who greenlit this game? Who thought that this was an acceptable product to give people? The paint booth is pretty cool. I made a car. I'll show it to you. It's this prime car. I like it. I mean, you've probably seen it in the gameplay. Here's some paint booth stuff of it, but neat, or some looks around it. Yeah. There's no letters in the paint booth, which is lame. But really the problem is you can't use these cars online. You can't use these cars in career, so what's the point? You would never want to do a quick race in this game because you would gouge your eyes out because you'd have to qualify in the back. So I don't know why they even put a paint booth in, I guess just for us to screw with, and then, I don't know, maybe show it off on Twitter, which is fine, but I'd much rather show it off beating you in a race up front online. But I think the developers are so afraid of people being mean to each other or writing "Let's go Brandon" or, defund the police or whatever they want on their car, or, who knows what they're afraid of. People writing "cuck" or something on it. Who knows? I have no idea what the developers don't want written on the car, why they didn't give us letters, but it doesn't prevent you from making obscene things. but not being able to use it online kind of prevents people from seeing it, I guess, because you can still make letters. Like, I made these letters in mine, but whatever. Like, it's crazy to me. It's just crazy to me that you can't use the car online. That they have this paint booth that's essentially useless. It's fun to screw around with, but like, why? Um, no rear view mirror. Did I mention that? Did I mention that there's no rear view mirror in this game? Oh, I didn't even because I turned them off so quickly because they don't work. Cautions, qualifying, black flags, none of that works right. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it, unless this is your first video about the game. It's just broken. Cautions don't come out right. The restarts are even worse on restarts than at the initial start of the race. Just like it just throws cars 3-4 wide, and they're turning right and left at the start. Like, the AI is broken. Not just you being confused. The AI is also confused when you restart a race. Let's see. Yeah, the black flags don't work right. So yeah, you have to turn that off. Fuel doesn't work right. So there's no fuel gauge. It'll tell you have 5 laps left, but you might have more. And so then the fuel light turns on, and then you get fuel. The fuel light doesn't turn off, and then he never tells you have 5 laps left again. So you just don't know when the hell you have to pit ever. So good luck doing a long race. So you have to do short races. Probably why the online's 2% races with no flags or anything is because if they went any longer and turned any rules on, the game wouldn't work. So, they were put in a box where they had to do that, which is cool. Really cool. They made the game so bad that they had to make the online so stripped down. And that's why I think there's no stages, because you put stages in the game, it would force a restart in, which would just make the game worse. So, it's just like nonsensical. Pit stops are a freaking nightmare. I have no idea how long that cutscene is, but it's too long. It seems like every time I've ever seen anybody pit, they come out last. Uh, if you like repair damage or like put tape on, you'll watch the whole cutscene, and then like one guy will run over the wall and like sit there for a second, and then like kind of like walk out to the car, and then do like a 5-second animation, and then he'll like walk back over the wall. So, and that'll happen like no matter what damage you do. Instead, they won't just like pull a fender out, like while they're changing the tire or something, like you see. It'll be like a forever thing, because they don't have any idea what the hell goes on. They know that saw thing was cool in NASCAR, so they put it in. The Truex did it once, so yeah. But when you saw it doesn't take off a part of the car or do anything, they just saw through the metal, and then the metal's there in the exact same way. It looks awful. The pit stops are dumb. The cutscenes are dumb. I said it early on. The intros are not going to be worth a crap if it's the same shot at every racetrack. And what did they do? It's the same shot at every racetrack. I said that's you can do all this work and make this cutscene and do this, but it's going to be everyone's going to skip it if it's not unique and if every track's the same. Yeah, the audio is different that he's saying, but visually it's the exact same presentation every time. And in the very first trailer, I didn't make a video on it, I don't think. Hell, I might have. But one of the first things I noticed is when they were rolling the car out from practice in that first trailer, the two guys had the same faces. And, like, I remember Real Radman, I think, said something about it. And he's like, they're aware of that. They'll fix it. No, they still have the same faces. 2 guys next to each other in the same cutscene, right in front of you. They're the only thing on screen. You look out the window and there's those guys. They have the same exact face. They're wearing the same shirt with the same hat. What the hell? Sorry, I got off track. That's in the practice when you start practice. It's ridiculous. The crew chief, the same guy on every team. Like, whatever. People are upset about that. Like, it is what it is. I don't think that's like the biggest issue in the world. The Two Faces thing, again, it's not the biggest issue, but it's like, what? Like, it just shows such a lack of care. Such a lack of care by the developers. Yeah. Ugh, God, where was I? Pit stops. I don't know. Presentation. The Michigan has the Canadian national anthem. I say that every time. Not all the tracks are the same. Not everybody has the same pre-race things. Have a concert at some tracks. There's tracks that have concerts. Show that happening. Just like a stage. Maybe some of the tracks, if there's not like really anything unique about it, show like a little clip of the driver's introduction. The driver's coming out and waving and walking, and then like maybe you could show some drivers going around in the pickup trucks at some tracks. Like there's all these things waving to the fans. All these things that happen before a NASCAR race, and we see the same 4 clips over and over again at any track, no matter what. I think if it's a night race, they'll show fireworks, even though like all the night races start when it's way too bright to be launching off fireworks. Anyway, they should show fireworks at the end of a night race when it's completely dark outside. Cool. They have the long races, and they have the fact that it goes from day to night, but you can't race long races because it's broken. So all the night races are pretty much day races anyway. Really, I'm just ripping through it here. I mean, I'm ripping the Band-Aid off, and I'm just talking, and we're talking, and we're going. God, there was something else I wanted to get to. Oh, like I said, all sports. Let me see exactly what his YouTube channel is here, so I can give him All Sports 83 for you. He made this video about how he doesn't think they're NASCAR fans, and I think he's spot on. I don't think they're NASCAR fans. Which, you know what? You don't have to be a NASCAR fan. You don't have to be a fan of, space rings to be a developer of Halo. You don't have to be a fan of shooting people to be a developer of Call of Duty. You don't have to be a fan of what is golf to be a developer of golf. You don't have to. But you have to have people around you who are. You have to have people around you who know what they're talking about. You have to talk to experts. You have to talk to fans. You have to do this stuff. You have to know. Like, no stage racing, like, whatever, dude. Like, I think it's because the game's so broken it couldn't be there. Whatever. It just seems like a lack of care, lack of awareness. And I wanted to mention, he's got a great video on it, and I'll link it below. But I also think they part of doing your research, if you get handed, hi, you're now responsible for developing the next Call of Duty game. And you're like, okay, we're going to develop a Call of Duty game. What would be like the first thing you would do? Let's say you just dropped off from the planet Pluto. They're like, you're developing Call of Duty. You'd be like, okay, I should probably research what Call of Duty is. Not research it with like Google. Not research it, like casually watching a thing. Get on there and play some games. Figure out what people think are the good games and the bad games. They should have known what the good games, NASCAR games, are by the community, what the bad NASCAR games are by the community. I mean, it's pretty widely known. The NASCAR Thunder games are thought of as the best. Dirt to Daytona's up there. People like that game. People even like, more than some of the other games, Heat 4-5, NASCAR 09. Some people have an affection for it. NASCAR 15. That's one of each series. What people, the favorites of each series. The Heat 4-5, NASCAR 15, the Thunders, NASCAR 08-9 are kind of their own thing when they went next gen. But, there's an affection for all those games people have. And then there's the games that are universally despised. NASCAR Evolution. NASCAR The Game 2011. They needed to play all of those games. Now, I'm not saying they need to, spend days and days and days playing them. But you pick up NASCAR The Game 2011, how quickly are all these things that you recognize, wow, this bugs me. Like, this is an awful experience. Like, the fact that the cars in those games are 4 or 5 wide the whole time and you can't drive by them. That's the way it was in that game. Cautions didn't work. Like, if they played 2011 the game, they would see, like, oh, wow, all these issues. These are things we need to avoid. Instead, they made the mistakes. They put their foot in it because they didn't play those games. They didn't go back and do their research to see what people didn't like, and then they say, okay, well, we need to make sure we include these things that are quality of life things that all NASCAR games have eventually figured out, like, okay, this is what's needed to be in a NASCAR game, to bare minimum. And that wasn't done here. And it's just a shame. It's a shame. The NASCAR community deserves a good game, and they didn't get it this year. And will they get it? I don't know, man. I I honestly don't know if motorsports games can turn this around. I know that sounds crazy to me, but I'm not talking this year, this game. I'm 4 or 5 years from now, I'm not so sure that this is going to be fixed because the fundamentals aren't good. Don't let anybody tell you that the car drives well. That means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. Car drives well at a couple tracks, sure. Car drives like crap at a lot of tracks. And then the AI are so bad, and I don't know if they'll ever fix the AI. I don't think they can ever fix this AI. I've seen a lot of people talk about the AI in these R Factor games, and I thought, well, it's been 20 years. You'd think it would be better. This AI is terrible. This is the worst AI I've ever seen. It's the worst AI I've ever driven around. They could try to maybe spread out the field. Maybe that would make it better, but who knows? They're not fans of NASCAR or NASCAR games, I don't think. So they probably have no idea that the field should be spread out. Honestly, that's the only thing that makes any sense. It's ridiculous. It's so bad. The game is... I want to play it. I want to like it. I tried. I played so much. I'm physically sick. I'm physically nauseous. So I'm sorry. This is not the video I wanted to make. I kept trying to be positive. I held off. I recorded a couple videos that were pretty negative before the game came out, but I was like, you know what? I haven't played it. I'm not going to release these. I don't need to do this. I'm going to play it. I'll probably like it. I mean, I'm probably crazy. I'm sure there's good stuff here. There's really not. So that's it, guys. I bought NASCAR 21 Ignition, so you don't have to.